Welcome, friends and enemies, to episode 73 of The Adventures of the Bane Glorious. We've got almost everybody here. We've got Ed.
Yeah, hello.
We've got Jess.
Hello.
We've got Kathryn.
Hello.
And we've got Adam.
Hello, Governor.
Sadly, Simon is not joining us tonight. He is unwell. So, last time you were in TikTok Tower and were dealing with the aftermath of a fight with a vampire and an individual who later revealed himself to be Manshoon, the leader of the Black Network, or the Juniper of Faerun, more specifically Waterdeep. The instructions left to Juniper by the vampire were to try and kill the hairy man whose name was Vermil. She continued this instruction because she was still under the charm, and this led to all of you basically piling on Vermil and taking him down, to which Sixth, the tiefling barbarian, objected. You then decided to take Manshoon upstairs, Erallur and the Masked Mage, doing so whilst Sixth healed his fallen friend, and the rest of you sort of distracted Juniper out of making sure that he was dead by moving upstairs. Once upstairs, Erallur and the Masked Mage tied Manshoon to a chair in Sir Erallur's office, and you began to interrogate him. He revealed a few things about himself, why he wanted the sword, and why he was amused by your various attempts to get information out of him, believed that you had the upper hand, all of that sort of stuff. Eventually, the sword was revealed through Juniper's keen sense of smell, and Farrellin, who revealed herself to be the Masked Mage, Lorethel's sister, took up the sword, brought it over towards Erallur, and then stabbed her with it, taking something from her body. She then proceeded to do the same to Truffle, apparently taking something out of that body as well. And a protracted fight ensued where various spells were cast, where she managed to get some of you under mass suggestion, at which point she convinced Erallur, Elsie, and Juniper that she should have the sword. This involved numerous of the different factions attacking each other, Erallur eventually managing to use a Thunderstep to get the sword from Elsie, and Farrellin then was able to get the sword once Elsie had grabbed it again off Erallur, but Erallur had used telekinesis to put Elsie in front of Farrellin. Very confusing and convoluted. And then Farrellin uncorked an ever-smoking bottle, which led to a large envelope of smoke coming into the room and obscuring her escape. Despite the protracted work of Flint trying his best to clear the smoke from the area with Truffle's help, you are now in the room. The smoke is still going, but the area where Farrellin was has been cleared. Manshoon is still tied to the chair. Sir Erallur is still wounded, having called for some assistance of some kind using one of the devices in her office. What would you like to do?
Probably run after Farrellin.
Okay, you don't know which way she's gone.
I was going to say, we don't know which way she's gone, do we?
But there's only, we are at the top of a tower, so there's
Yes.
only down, right?
Apparently, but she didn't pass you on the stairs.
Okay.
Are there
Right.
windows?
There were windows, some of which the stained glass ones smashed. The clock was cracked.
And there was the other door as well, which obviously goes back to where
Yes,
we were before.
but that is something of a dead end at the moment.
Okay. In that case, I probably don't chase her,
Okay.
but I will go and look out of the windows.
Okay, so you go over to the windows, make a perception check.
Should probably tip my dice out of the dice pack. 11.
You can't see any sign of her. The streets look a little busy, and there are a few people staring up at the tower and pointing as if they've heard the commotion. As you watch, you also see that there are some city guards that are starting to come in that direction. Quite a few, in fact. It looks like Sir Erallur's message got through.
Okay, then I will go and stand next to Manshoon and
Okay.
make sure he doesn't try anything.
Okay, that's fine. There is still smoke covering quite a lot of the room, by the way.
All the more reason to make sure he doesn't do anything.
Well, he's just on the edge of the smoke wall,
Okay.
and with Truffle having cleared it a little bit, smoke is still being produced from somewhere.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, I'll go find the thing then.
Okay, roll an investigation check with disadvantage.
In the meantime, how is Manshoon looking?
You can go over to where he was tied in the chair, should you want to, because you were sort of in the middle of the room at the end. So
Yeah.
Yeah?
But yeah, is he looking particularly shifty, nonchalant? How's he doing?
Roll an insight check.
11.
Despite your interactions with him and your general prodding of him that didn't really actually get that much of a rise out of him, he's difficult to read. You understand that that's by necessity. He seems quite calm. Hasn't moved, hasn't tried the knots.
Okay.
There's just that slightly irritating smirk quirking his lip.
Okay. I'll just continue keeping an eye on him.
Okay. Erallur?
I rolled a 4.
You're going around in the smoke. You have to go on to all fours a little bit to see if you can find something. You don't find anything, and the smoke is just continuously getting thicker.
I'm in the middle of the room.
You are just near the doors where Maud was blasted out of your arms as you healed her.
Yeah, so because basically I was next to Farrellyn when she dropped the thingy, but then I moved.
Yes, because you were blasted backwards by Flint's cannon.
Yes, and then, yeah. Okay.
Well, actually, I don't think Elsie did move. I think you saved, and it was Maud who moved.
Oh,
out
yeah,
your
yeah,
arms,
yeah.
so,
I'm sure I had Maud, and I was like, Maud!
Yeah.
Maud? Oh, okay. I was hoping that I couldn't remember if I'd moved or not, because if I hadn't moved, I would have tried to have looked for the bottle.
Well, you haven't moved, and you are in the area that's clear.
So I shall look for the bottle.
Okay, roll an investigation check. I won't say with disadvantage because you're in the clear area, but the DC will be slightly higher than it was for Erallur.
Investigation?
Yes, which you should be quite good at.
16.
Okay, you rootle around a little bit, and you hear Maud trying to pick herself up, and eventually just there's a tink as your hand meets glass, and you wrap your fingers around a bottle.
So I pick it up.
Yep.
And I go, I found the bottle making the smoke. Now what do I do?
It is still producing smoke, and soon your hand is enveloped and you can't really see the bottle that well.
While I say that, I put my thumb over the top.
Okay. I mean, I probably should have described this before. There is a stopper attached to the bottle.
Oh, okay. Surely I would have seen that. So,
Yeah.
Oh, no. First things first. No.
Well, but I mean, your hand was enveloped by smoke, so you may not have seen it.
Yeah.
To be fair.
So let's stick with the cannon. I put my thumb to the top.
Okay.
And
It
see
is
what
still-
happens.
It's still leaking a tiny bit of smoke, but you can now see that there is a stopper attached.
I then look at the stopper and go, oh shit. And then put the stopper in.
It's okay.
And no one saw.
Nobody was watching you. Nobody saw. It's fine.
Exactly.
You close the bottle. The smoke starts to dissipate. You are quite high up and the windows are broken, so the wind is coming through quite swiftly. And eventually the room clears of the smoke.
Does it look like there's still lots of smoke left in this bottle?
Yes.
I pocket it.
Okay, you can add ever-smoking bottle to your inventory.
Thank you.
So as the smoke clears, you can now see the slightly charred, chipped floor of the tower room. You can see the rapidly bleeding out form of Vermil with Sixth standing over the top of him defensively. What are you doing?
Where's Juniper?
Juniper,
I was on the edge. I was near a Flint, wasn't I?
you were
Flint,
near
like,
the...
'cause I was being kidnapped.
Yeah, but Flint
Yeah.
moved since then because he moved his
Okay.
cannon over. So you're actually still near the stairs watching Vermil bleed out.
I mean, I assume I still want him dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I ignore him, I guess. This is fine. yeah. I think I moved closer to like where Erallur is, I think, and sort of sniff about. Has
Okay.
anything changed? I mean, can I smell?
Roll a perception check
Lovely.
with advantage because of your smell skills.
So many skills.
Smells.
That sounds like a special milkshake for some reason.
Smells.
Smells.
I'm not sure I'd want to drink anything called
No.
smell.
It's 25.
There is quite a strong smell of charred smoke still
Yep.
in the room. There is a
Makes
very
sense.
strong smell of blood. There is a lot of
Makes
blood.
sense. Mhm.
You can just smell the edge of the decay smell that you got from the Sword of Souls, but it's rapidly fading. Other than that, there's not a lot.
No. So there's not a trail of Farrellyn went.
No, it's quite
No.
difficult to discern in this room, and you
Mhm.
didn't scent her before, so you're not sure what she might smell of, and particularly with the ozone of the lightning going off, the burning dust of the books and papers and things, the blood, it's quite difficult to discern a scent for her.
That's right.
And any trail that you think you pick up goes dead quite quickly.
So,
Sneeze.
Okay.
so Vermal and Six are in the corridor with Vermal dying.
Yes. At this point,
Um,
he is probably dead.
Okay, cool.
I assume I don't know that he's there dying, so I'm.
From where you are, you would see now that he is dying. Would you care to look? But I think you're probably focused on
I
the
don't.
guards.
Yeah.
Can't believe
Um,
I killed this guy by not caring.
Sarah
Yeah.
Lanthy's over by her little walkie-talkie machine on the wall.
Yes, and she's leaning against the wall. She looks like she's ready to collapse.
Okay. So I turn to look at her and go, well, I imagine this hasn't gone to has it?
No, it hasn't, but I don't really know what the plan was.
How do you not know what the plan was? This was your competition.
Well, I presume that the individual that just disappeared may have preyed on my memory.
So I then look to Erallur and then go, who was that? You all seem to know her.
That was one of our friend's sister.
Okay, but why is she here and why does she want the sword?
I don't know.
This is all very confusing.
I was hoping we'd get a chance to find out, but she seems to have scarpered.
I guess the question is how she, one, why she wants the sword in the first place, but also how she managed to engineer all of this. She seemed to say that she's been doing this for a while now, potentially interfering with the Black Network, but we saw her around, just over a year ago, so...
But wouldn't your companion probably know why she was here? Can we not just speak to them?
Which
I think he's probably
companion?
I think
Right.
he's probably quite far away, but it's an option.
Okay.
He told us he was going to find his family
Which
in the
one would
high forest.
Which one would assume also included Farrellin?
So confused with this family politics and drama. I then turn to Manchun and I go, I'm still not 100% sure why you're here and if you're happy about how this has happened or not. I'm still not sussed you out yet, sir.
He just continues to smirk.
And that smirk does not make you any more attractive. Stop it.
And Saluk then pipes up and goes, I too am quite confused.
Yes. So just to confirm, Sarah Lanthy, I'm assuming your guards are not going to do anything to us.
They're not my guards, they're the guards of Neverwinter.
Okay, but you're kind of missing the point. They're not going to do anything to us, are they?
I don't really know. That's not really why I called them.
What did you say to them? Please?
That the tower was in distress and there were people threatening me.
You didn't tell them which people?
Well, I don't really know who you are, so forgive me for not clarifying. And we were in rather desperate situation.
That's fine. As long as you can clarify with them when they arrive that, in fact, the person who was a threat is this person here, and also the person who has now escaped.
I will endeavour to do so, yes. And then you hear downstairs boots starting to clatter on the steps.
I don't like this situation at all.
No, neither do I, says Maud as she's lying just in the doorway, very badly hurt.
Oh yeah, sorry sis, I forgot you're on your ass.
Yeah, of course you did. Wouldn't hardly be the first time, would it?
Get up, I think it's probably time for...
I'm not sure I can. I think I've broken my leg.
Do any of you know any bone mending spells? You, lady, I point to Erallur.
I know a mending spell.
Well, can you mend a bone, please?
I'll try. I also have healing hands. Let me just check if I've used that. I don't believe I have.
I
I'm going to
don't
try
think you
mending
have.
first, even though I've absolutely tried to use this for this situation. It's not worked. But because she asked me for a mending spell,
Okay.
And I
I
asked
will do
so
a mending spell.
And
So-
I asked so nicely.
you place your hand on the joint that Maud points to, and a little bit of magic curls out of your hand. Nothing seems to happen. And Maud then goes, well, that was fucking useless.
I was going to use my other actual healing spell, but I'm not quite sure I really want to do that now. So, and I'm going to go and look for any of my friends who also look like they might need healing.
Ow.
I'm gonna walk over and take out, just have a look. Yeah, some bits of wood that I have and just get a suitably long one and break it in half so it's around the right length. And I'll get out some cloth and just put the sticks on either side and create a rudimentary splint. And sure, what did you say your name was again?
Can you make a medicine check for the splint, first of all?
Mm-hmm.
Is that good or bad?
That's a 9.
Okay. Yeah, you think that you've done a pretty good job. Maud winces a few times as you tighten the bandages, and there's a time where she looks like her hand clenches as if she's going to go and punch you because of the pain. And then when you ask her the question, it distracts her slightly and you cinch the splint quite firmly. And she says, Maud Skipstone.
Right.
Most people call me Doomsky.
Right, I don't actually care. I was just trying to distract you from the pain. There we go.
Ow.
No one calls you Doomsky.
Yeah,
Don't
they
make that
do. Shut up.
Don't make that a thing. It's not a thing. Stop it.
So,
Shoot you with lightning.
I walk over and I try and pick her up like a child. You know how you pick up a child that's fallen over and they just like fall over again? I kind of just pick her up expecting her to be able to stand, and I assume that she probably doesn't.
Ooh.
Okay, so there's a moment where you lift her up under the armpits and she complains and her leg drags slightly. You do get the sense that she's doing it for drama rather than actually. But then there's the moment where you let her go and she goes, ah! And her leg slides out from under her and she just lands just on her arse and then scrabbles up to try and regain dignity, but doesn't really manage it.
Well, this is going to be making a hasty escape a problem.
Well, we didn't get what we came.
Oh, yeah, but it's not here, so what's the point in hanging around?
Well, but we're not going to chase her down.
Well, yeah, but that's why we leave, to then try and chase her down.
right,
How-
I've got a question. Why are the two of you after this sword so badly? You seem quite desperate.
Shut it, Shorty. We're you right now.
I'm taller than you.
He does have a point, sister. He is taller than us. That hasn't worked since we were 6. I'm the Doomsky.
Shut up. What are we doing? Where are we going? We need to leave.
As soon as you say that, there is a as armoured boots start to sound on the staircase just below the door, and a few guards flutter into the room. They part around the curve of the wall, and then a rather more opulent figure enters. He is wearing armour that is a lot grander than the guards that have come in around, who are wearing fairly simple plate. He has a full suit of armour, but there is a blue sash that goes over the shoulders, ties around across the chest, and then drapes down from the right hip. At his left hip is a rather long, elegant sword. He has a dark brown and slightly greying beard, quite full and long, and he has fairly short brown hair with flecks of grey at the temples and just at some of the tips that flicks back over his head. And as he comes in, he is holding the hilt of the sword in his left hand, and it clanks slightly as he walks. And then he stands in the doorway. So, Juniper, he has walked past you and the dead body and Sixth, and then looks all of you up and down and turns to Sir Lamphy and says, "My dear, do inform me what has been going on." And Sir Lamphy nods and then says, "Well, Lord Neverember, it seems we have a lot to explain. I think I've been manipulated into offering something that I didn't even know I had. These people helped me, although some of them were more helpful than others. And also, Manchun was involved." And she gestures over to the individual in the chair. You see this newcomer's eyebrows raise about a millimetre, but that's the only reaction that the face gives. And then he looks over at Manchun and says, well, I never thought you would dare come to my city." And Manchun just quirks his head slightly and just says, "Needs must, Lord Neverember." And the man goes, "Well, It seems you have all been involved in a ruckus in my fair city. That is unfortunate, and it is also foolish. However, until I can establish the facts of this situation, I would appreciate it if you would go with my guard to my estate, where you will be allowed comfort, but should you choose to try and go anywhere, I would take exception to that course of action. Am I understood?
That's very kind of you, thank you.
Very good. Tarsus! And one of the guards steps forward, cracks off an extremely crisp salute. Take them with 4 of your men to my estate. Work out who is allied with whom, and place those groups together. And Tarsus nods and then gestures to you with a gauntleted hand to follow him.
I do so.
I'll follow.
As I leave the room, I turn to Maud and go, do you think I can pull off a sash?
Nah,
Nah, didn't think so.
you can barely pull off what you're wearing.
Fuck off. I've not even got my hat on.
It's a really cool hat.
A really cool hat.
Michael, could you
Yes.
just remind me before we're probably interrogated? Did the person who sent us here, the politician person,
Yeah.
did she tell us we couldn't tell anyone that she sent us?
No, I don't think so.
You didn't? Okay,
No.
that's good.
Okay,
Wanted to
so
check.
you are guided down by this rather small group of guards, considering how many guards are actually present, in that they line the stairs for the entirety of the way down. They take you round out of the tower and then towards the rather more opulent-looking district of the city of Neverwinter. You are taken to a rather ornate-looking house, which spreads across a large degree of this district. There are multiple buildings, there are cloisters, it seems, there are fountains, there are gardens. All of it is very, very decorated. All of it is very, very expensive looking. And you are taken to a couple of rooms that are next to each other, but still separate enough that you couldn't necessarily talk. So once, I'm just going to say for the sake of brevity, they can work out who's who fairly quickly. So the Skipstone sisters are put separately in one room, Sixth is put in another room, and then you 3 and Saluk are put in another room, but all in almost a cottage, you would call it, were it not part of the estate itself. It looks like this might be servants' quarters of a kind, but they are definitely quarters in the sense that they are lived in and maintained. A guard stays in each of the rooms with you, and Tarson seems to go outside. You don't know whether they are still nearby or not, but you are definitely on guard and under watch.
Did they take Manchun at the same time?
Well, no, they didn't take Manchun at the same time because he was tied to the chair, and you don't know what happened to him.
Okay, so we didn't see how they handled him.
No.
Okay.
But it's likely that Lord Neverember did that deliberately.
Yeah. What, as in, made sure we didn't see that?
Either that or wanted to interview Manchun in the room.
Okay, I see.
So you are alone with each other in these different rooms under guard. Are you doing anything?
The door to the room that I'm in, is it open? Is it closed?
It's closed, and there are a couple of doors. There's one door to the outside, and then there's 2 doors to, you assume, the 2 rooms that the other people are in. But you are being watched by a guard.
I go to the guard and go, my sister's hurt her leg. Could we get someone to have a look at that? And can I have some wine?
Make a persuasion check.
13.
The guard looks at you. She has quite dark skin. You can't see much of her features beneath her helmet. It's quite a closed off one, but her dark brown eyes look you up and down, and goes, "That's not Lord Neverember's orders, I'm afraid."
Which one? The healing or the wine?
Neither.
Okay then, so I shall lower my expectations. Can I get some beer, and can I get at least just some bandages?
I would suggest you don't have any expectations at all, rather than lower them.
Oh, well, you're a bit of a bitch, aren't you?
I know a pirate when I see one.
Well, my attire does me well, and I just kind of saunter away and just go and sit next to Maud and just go, this would have gone so much better if you'd not gone and broken yourself.
Oh yeah, I did this deliberately.
Yeah, of course you did, for the attention. Now shush.
Ow.
I would love it if they just had a parrot with them the whole time, and then nobody had mentioned it. Yeah.
Look in my bag of holding.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
wait, you're
stuffed
dead.
parrot.
Oh,
Yeah.
be a stuffed parrot, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So, are the other three of you doing anything else? Saluk is just pacing impatiently around the small room that you're in, around the table.
I'm going to turn to everyone and go, right, so our entire reason for coming here on a mission that I know some of us were less anxious to take than others seems to have disappeared. So a couple of things on my mind. What's our next step? And also, why has Farrellin done this? Because last time
questions.
last time we met her, she didn't strike me as the sort that would be involved with the Gentirim.
So do you think that she was working with Manchun?
No, I don't think so. I think she was working against him, but I don't know for what purpose, and I don't know what drove her to it in the first place. When she was talking before we fought, she said something about she'd upset a few of their operations. I think I'm remembering that right. But you know, how do you go from being in, I mean, it was the Feywild we left them in. How do you go from there to coming back to the material plane, suddenly deciding that you're a vigilante?
Mm-hmm. And she said that she just didn't want to settle down. Doesn't seem reason enough to turn evil.
Well, that's assuming she is evil.
Something makes me think that there's more to it than that. So
it seems that everybody was after the sword for a reason. Obviously, we were there on someone else's orders, but everyone else seemed to have a motivation for being there. Obviously, we weren't able to ascertain all of them, but if they did, so did she. We still don't know what this damn sword does.
Then perhaps our next step should be to find her.
mm-hmm. Maybe
True.
we can help and have the help of Lord Neverember if he is so inclined.
Did I see Erallur and Truffle get stabbed?
I think you would have done, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about
Because you found the sword. Farrellin took the sword out of the slab.
Yeah.
And then walked over to Erallur. I think you probably would have been watching that. Yeah, I think you would have done.
Yeah.
I think pretty much everyone would have done because they were all watching the sword.
Did it hurt a lot, Erallur, when you got stabbed by the sword?
No, it was actually kind of okay. I mean, as okay as being stabbed can be, but I thought it'd be a lot worse.
I mean, you don't seem like you've lost your soul.
I don't feel like it. Do I feel like it?
No, you only feel the slight pain of having been stabbed in the side. Yeah. And it did go right through, but it didn't hit anything vital.
Mm.
So you've got a nasty puncture wound, but you've had worse.
Got good hit points, me.
You've also fought a couple of dragons, so...
Yeah, true. And is Truffle okay?
I mean, seems fine.
Yeah, he's got a couple of nasty slash marks, but seems himself.
Quick question, and maybe this is metering it a bit, but when Truffle has landed in my hand, can I hear Starfy at all?
Do you attempt to talk to Starfy?
Well, I'm just used to picking up Truffle and him just kind of being like, "Oh, hey Flint, how are you doing?"
He doesn't do that when you touch Truffle.
Do you want me to help mend Truffle? Flint, he's got some scrapes.
I mean, I think he's okay, but if you want to have a go.
Well, only if he needs mending.
Nah, I'll be fine. I'll just tighten up a few bolts here and there. I have a hunch. Hang on. Staffy?
There is no response.
Is Staffy okay?
I think Staffy's gone on holiday for a bit, Juniper. But I'm sure he'll be back.
Staffy's in the sword. So the sword took Staffy from Truffle. Did you also have a Staffy, Erallur?
I don't think so.
Erallur, you can... I'll lose track of all of the magical things that you can do. You can you can message people, right?
I'm sure you can.
I can.
Can you message
Staffy?
Things that aren't people? Yeah, can you message Staffy? Because I'm thinking if we are going to try
Depends how far away he is as well, but I can message creatures.
I'm just thinking if that's a way in which we can find out where Farrellin's going.
I'll give it a go.
Thank you.
What's the range?
Yes, the range is 120 feet.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm just also reading if there's any
okay.
other restrictions. You can cast it through solid objects if you're familiar with the target. Magical silence, a foot of stone, an inch of metal, thin sheet of lead, 3 foot of wood. What? 3 feet of wood blocks the spell. Yeah. That's it.
So do you cast message then?
Yes.
Okay, what do you say?
Staffy, are you there?
There is no response.
Okay. I haven't heard anything back, so either it doesn't work or Staffy can't reply.
I figured that was probably a long shot, but thanks for having a look anyway.
Okay. I can use message as much as I want in a day and it doesn't make me tired.
Well, that's good.
I feel very tired, like I can do very little magic.
Oh.
Yeah, and Flint, you're looking pretty hurt, I think, aren't you?
Yeah, I'd say I'm between 2 and 4.
Does our time in this holding cell count as a short rest?
It could do, yeah. I mean, you don't know how long you're going to be here. And there are, I should have probably described the room better beforehand. There are plush sofas that have some quite nice throws over them. It's quite a cramped room.
Nice servants' quarters.
Yes, similar to Sir Lamphy's office, there's a lot of books that line the walls. You can see that there is also a small squat fireplace in your room as well that leads up to a chimney. And there's a door that seems to lead upstairs as well. It's just slightly ajar as opposed to the other 2 doors that are in the room. Yeah, it's quite a nice, cozy place. So it's definitely somewhere that you could sleep should you want to.
Juniper, did you want to have a rest?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would do me some good.
I don't mind staying awake and keeping watch. If that helps you rest better.
I think so. I know you'll protect me.
Okay, so Juniper, you're going to sleep. Flint?
Yep.
I mean, realistically, I need to rest, so I'll probably do the same.
Okay, so I'm imagining, and correct me if I'm wrong in this, either of you, that Flint, you curl up on the sofa, and Juniper, you curl up at the bottom at Flint's feet?
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think I would necessarily go on the sofa.
Yeah. Okay, so you both fall asleep fairly quickly. Saluk continues to stalk a little bit, but he's deliberately quieter. You can sense that he is quite frustrated, Erallur, by this setback, but eventually settles down, not to sleep, but just sits on...
What time is it?
It's actually early evening.
Okay.
You were in the competition for quite a long time, and although the fights themselves didn't take that long, the shifting of the rooms and the puzzles and all that sort of stuff did actually take quite a number of hours. So it's around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Because the competition itself started at about 11, I think I said.
Yeah.
So you've covered about 6 hours in that time.
Okay. Can I roll some hit dice even if I'm
of course you can.
staying
Absolutely.
awake?
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, quick question as I roll my own hit dice. The effect of the vampire biting me, I assume that my hit point maximum is still depleted?
It still is at the moment, yes.
Okay.
Do you add to your constitution modifier when you roll hit dice?
Yes.
Okay. That's good.
Elsie, are you doing anything?
Do I have a fire in my room?
You don't, unfortunately, no. Your room is a little bit starker. It looks like it might be a dining room of some kind. And there is just a table, some chairs, which Maud has sat in one of them with her leg propped on another. There's no crockery or anything in there either.
So I just lean against a wall, staring at the guard with my fire starter.
Just flicking it on and off.
Yeah, I'm hoping that there's either a way of just flicking it or flicking it on and off. Just be like, but in a way, can that class as me tinkering with it? Because obviously I need to tinker with it every 24 hours or it breaks.
Yeah, I think that can count. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
You're just checking the mechanism.
Yeah, but just continually checking it while just looking at her.
Okay. Roll an intimidation check. Erallur, can you roll a perception check for me?
25.
18. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you. After about a minute, you can see her right eye is twitching. And then she lets another maybe 30 seconds pass and then just goes, please stop it.
So I carry on. For at least probably another 5 minutes.
Okay. She sniffs and sighs and then just her back goes even more rigid. And at this point, you actually notice that Maud has fallen asleep and is drooling out of the side of her mouth.
So I do it for about 5 minutes and then I'll stop. And then every so often, I'll just suddenly do it.
Yeah.
Just to see what reaction I get from her.
Every single time you do it, that eye twitches more significantly. Erallur, you can hear this strange clicking noise from next door, on and off, and then it stops, and then it starts again.
Does it seem to disturb the people sleeping in our room?
No, it seems quite quiet. It's just one of those house noises that you're not quite sure the origin. It may be the house settling, you know, that weird phrase that people say. It may be something else, but it's slightly irritating. Okay, so time continues to pass. You are left in these rooms. After about 4 hours, there's a rap at the door, a fairly soft, considered rap at the door to the outside, and you see another guard peek their head round and wave the guard that was watching you out, as if it's a change in shift. But the new guard comes in with some refreshments, which includes some wine, some water, a few bits of bread, a few bits of fruit, and just comes in and sets them down on either table in either room. From what you can see, they actually look quite fresh in terms of the bread and the fruit. It's not cast-offs or anything. It looks like you are being looked after quite humanely. And then the guard who brought the plate goes and stands at the door to keep watch again.
I'll wake up Flint and Juniper
Mm-hmm.
gently. There's some food here if you want it.
I just nod and walk over and just...
It's good. Some nice rye bread, some grapes, some oranges. Good stuff.
Sourdough.
It sounded like you said sourdough.
Oh, sourdough.
Is that bread you eat in the shower?
Yeah.
Showered in dough.
Oh dear. I also daintily bring the food up to my mouth and then go.
Once Saluk sees that you eat in this way, he takes a bunch of grapes and then just hammers at them with his beak from his talon.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I'm going to eat like a normal person.
Yeah.
So exactly the same as we've.
Yeah, you've been around them so long, Erallur, now that you are just an animal.
Normal. Oh dear.
I noticed the wine and have some wine.
Yeah. It's very nice. It's
Yeah.
deep red.
I do look at the guard and go, I would have preferred a white, but I'll live with the red.
I'm terribly sorry. We brought what we had to hand. I apologise. If you remain here for some time, I'm not sure when you might be let go or interviewed, but I can make sure that the kitchen knows that for next time.
Oh, you're going to be fun. And then I just nudge Maud.
Ow!
They brought some food and they brought me some wine, so...
They brought you some wine,
Yes.
but not me.
They
The person
specifically...
in pain.
They specifically told me that I need to drink the wine because only tall people can drink the wine. So eat some bread and go back to sleep.
Those famous white wine drinking pirates.
I was just going to say, no one drinks white wine in fantasy games.
Yeah, it's all red. It's
What are you
like
talking about?
rosé.
You wouldn't order a rosé in a tavern.
What are you talking about? My real name is Karen.
With an apostrophe.
But who
K
says
apostrophe Ren.
Yeah.
That would be a really good one-shot game where everybody's a different type of Karen for their like race or whatever.
I'm Karen from the PTA group.
Yeah.
Okay, so Maud reaches out and just taps you on the shoulder and goes, "It's all right, sis. It's all right. I need the sleep anyway. What's your armor class?"
Oh no. My armor class is 15.
Okay, so she reaches out and you see a familiar spark course across her hand as she casts Shocking Grasp on you and holds her hand out, ready to catch the glass that you're holding. So you take...
Oh, for God's sake. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Yeah, just carry on.
Combat.
15 points of lightning damage.
Wow.
Oh dear.
I will have seen her, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
So I use Uncanny Dodge.
Okay, so you take...
I take half damage.
7 points of lightning
Cool.
damage then. Can you make a dexterity saving throw?
Of course I can. 7 points of damage, did
Yes.
you say? 55.
That's such a familiar dance. That's what I do when I count my HP.
14.
You fail, unfortunately. So the glass drops from your hand into hers, and she then
Right,
takes... And
It
then
was
she...
the bottle.
Oh, it was the bottle.
It
Okay.
was the bottle.
Okay, but yeah, the bottle drops
Yeah.
from your hand into hers, and she takes a deep swig and goes, "Never do that again."
just smile at her. I imagine that this is just normal.
Yes. There are more than a few times where you've cast fog cloud to obscure you coming to push her off the side of the boat.
Yeah.
You know, this happens a lot. And as she drinks the wine and tastes it again, she goes, "You don't even like red."
And I just walk past her, tap her on the head, and go, "Hope it makes you feel better." And I return to where I was previously, leaning against the wall, and start flicking the fire starter again.
Okay. Makes me feel better than you ever do. And she takes another swig. Okay, so
It's a toxic relationship.
siblings. You continue as the night progresses. The guard in the Bane Glorious's room looks at all of you. Flint, Juniper, are you going back to sleep or are you staying awake?
I think Juniper will go back to sleep because
Yeah.
I mean I got no spell slots and I don't have like arcane recovery already.
Yeah,
So I need a full rest to get spell slots back. So I'm boned basically.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll probably do the same, to be
Okay.
honest.
I guess I'm staying awake then.
So, Erallur, you notice about an hour after the other two have gone back to sleep that Saluk's breathing has slowed down quite a lot. And whilst he's still sitting upright and his wings are against the wall, you can see that he seems to be either asleep or meditating. You're not really sure, but definitely seems much less tense than he was before. And as the night continues and you start to hear just the edges of the calls of some night birds and the city going a lot quieter than it was before, the guard turns to you and says, it's all right, miss. You can sleep. I won't let anything happen. You're on Lord Neverember's estate. It's the safest place in the city.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I will do that.
He
Do
nods.
you have any idea what sort of timescale we're looking at here?
I don't, I'm afraid. I was just told to come here for a 4-hour shift and I'd be relieved later. I believe the Lord is interviewing Sir Alanfi and Manchu, was it? That could take a while.
That's fine. I understand.
But you'll be taken care of as long as you're here. Don't fret.
Thank you. I do get that impression.
You're welcome, miss. You're welcome.
I'll go and find a nice sofa.
Okay. So you rest through the night. You get your full rest. You get your spell slots back. You get half your hit dice back. Flint, on awaking, your hit points go back up to what they were before.
Oh, thank the Christ.
Am I still charmed by the vampire?
You are at the moment, yes, because it is a 24-hour effect.
Okay.
So at some point later today you won't be, but right now you are.
I thought it was literally like until the vampire died.
No,
Ooh.
it's 24 hours or until the vampire is destroyed. It's those two things. So the guard shift has changed over again whilst you were all asleep. Elsie, you are happy to see that it is the same guard that was being bothered by the fire starter. The day continues. You are still left in this room for hour after passing hour after passing hour. Are you doing anything during this time, or are you just waiting?
I'm very politely waiting,
I will do the same.
but I will verbalise that I'm a bit concerned that the longer we sit here waiting, the farther the sword is getting.
Will Maud or I have any form of playing cards, some dice?
I'd imagine you'd have some gaming sets, yeah.
Yeah, so we get out something and play something. I will let you choose what that something is.
Okay, yeah, I think you'd probably have a set of gaming cards and a set of dice as well. So, yeah, you would play a game between. And the guard, once you stop flicking around with the fire starter, visibly relaxes and seems less annoyed by you having fun than she would have been had you not done the fire starter. So you may have worn her down a little bit and thus gained yourself a little bit of respite from her being too official. Time continues to progress. Elsie and Maud, you start to get a little bit bored of your games as another day seems to swan past. From the room to your right, Elsie, which is not the room that you saw the Bane Glorious going into, you hear the occasional trill of a lyre, and you hear the slightly harsh tones of Sixth, who is just humming to himself from time to time, slightly mournfully. Seems like he's a little upset that his friend is apparently dead and that his other two friends have not reappeared and he was betrayed. But Sixth is the kind of person that tries to be as positive as possible, and you can sense that he's still trying, but not really succeeding.
He'll bounce back.
Oh, sad bards are so sad.
Yeah, and he's a sad barbarian as well, so he can't
Oh.
even rage to make it better. So there's just the occasional trill that descends into what you think are probably tears.
Mm-hmm.
Jess, what did you do?
I don't know. I'm a child. I'm still not guilty at all about it. It's really bad. I'm a terrible dog. A bad dog.
At around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Juniper,
Yeah.
you suddenly feel quite vehemently
Yeah.
that vampire not as pleasant as you've been thinking for the last day or so.
Yeah. I think I scrunch up my nose and I look at Erallur, Flint, and Saluk and go, I don't think that vampire was really my friend.
I just slowly turn my head towards her.
So Luke just goes, no shit.
But I felt very strongly that she was.
It's okay, Juniper. You weren't alone in being taken advantage of.
I wasn't aware of any of this.
Did she look into my eyes? I forget.
She did, yes. She
Yeah.
stared very directly into your eyes.
I mean, she attacked Flint and then she stared at me and I could just see in her eyes that we were best friends. And also, she told me to kill the other man.
Ah,
That
Which
explains
man?
much.
I mean, I didn't kill him, but I did have some spells. Could have helped. And I sort of twist and look at the floor and have like an existential crisis.
Juniper achieved the self-actualization.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
Okay.
hmm.
The day continues to progress. Guards shift out occasionally. It's different ones every now and again.
if I see the same guy come back that I spoke to earlier,
Yeah, you see
I
him
will.
early evening.
Okay, I'll just ask him. Are you able to find out roughly when we might be able to be seen?
I could certainly ask, miss. Not right now because I'm on
No, that's
shift.
fine.
But
It would
when-
just be really nice to know at some point.
when I go off, I can ask for you. No
Thank
problem.
you. That's very kind of
You're very welcome. And then it gets into the night. That guard goes off and nods at you to indicate that he is going to try and do that. Around midnight, can you all roll perception checks for me, please?
What kind of perception?
This would be a listen.
Okay.
Oh.
It will be a 5.
Oh, wait.
16.
12.
Oh, yes. 16. Sorry,
16, okay.
I completely forgot that I've got that ability that if anything is shitter than a 10, then it becomes a 10.
Yes, if you're proficient in it, isn't it? Or
Yes.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Erallur, Elsie, you're all asleep by this time. It's the middle of the night. But there is a distinct noise at around midnight. And it's a weird noise. It's like a clang of a bell being rung. But at midnight, there isn't usually a bell being rung, even if there's a clock. And there are 3 in fairly quick succession of a dung, dung, dung. And then there's a rattle in the door. And as you wake up at this noise, the rest of you are still asleep. You see the guard by the door turn around and call, "Everything all right out there?" And both guards say it at similar times. And then there's a strange rattling coming from the door to your room, Erallur. It's not as if somebody's trying to turn the handle. It's an unfamiliar noise. And then there's and then the handle turns as the door is unlocked. And a diminutive figure in a cloak stands holding what look like 2 hairpins. And you can see a fairly scraggly beard that runs to a point below their chin, but it is a full beard. You can't see the rest of their face. And as they smile at the guard, who just looks utterly shocked that this person is in front of them, there is another doom as a large fist comes through from the shadows and punches that guard in the head. That guard then collapses. On that doom, Flint, Juniper, and Saluk wake up. And then the figure moves around out of view from the door. And the larger figure that was presumably behind them moves back into shadow. Elsie, you then hear, as your guard goes to unlock the door, does so, and then there is another doom as a fist meets their head as they open the door. And then there's nobody outside as the door is left to swing in the wind. And then you hear the door to 6th room opening in a very similar way. What do you do?
Is Maud also awake, or is she still asleep?
She is still asleep.
So I poke her leg.
Oh,
The door's opened mysteriously. Come on.
where are we going?
We're leaving.
To where?
We just need to get out of here. There's no point sticking around. The sword's gone, so, well, I either have to find it another way or... Yeah, I don't know.
So she tries to stand up. Her leg is still a bit iffy. She seems to have healed a bit, but it was quite sustained and quite a bad fracture. And as she does so, the door to 6th room opens, and you see a diminutive halfling-sized figure with a beard walk in, hood down, and has salt and peppery hair, has a pipe sticking from their mouth that they have just tamping down the weed that they are smoking in it, and then just lights a match and lights it on fire. And then behind them, a large half-orcish person in not terribly much armour, but leathers and hides, very well muscled, braided hair, quite large tusks. You recognise them. They were a part of the Black Three, who also entered into the competition and were in league with the vampire, ostensibly. Behind them, 6th is walking, looking quite confused, and is still holding a lump of bread that he was half through eating. And then the halfling says to you, Skipstones, if I could ask you to go through to the chamber ahead, we will be having a little bit of a discussion. And you can see pearly white teeth, which is odd considering that they're quite a heavy smoker, from what you can tell. Just smile at you very pleasantly and warmly.
So he's gestured to the door that goes through to the next room rather than the door that leads out.
Yes.
I do stick my head out the door that leads out of the room.
Make a perception check.
16.
Okay. You can see the armoured boots of 3 guards that have been hastily shoved into a hedge.
Okay. But there's no one else. It's just...
Nope.
Okay, so I go back to the room, shrug at Maud. Did they replenish the wine?
They did over a period of time, yeah. And they did bring white as well for you.
So I grab the wine and just walk into the other room.
Maud goes, are you not gonna... and then stumbles out of the chair. And on this, the halfling goes over to her and offers her his arm, but she just stalks past awkwardly with a sniff.
Can I kick the door open?
Yeah, sure. So there is a... as the door to your room is kicked open and you see Elsie Skipstone, bottle of wine in hand, just walk in. And then behind her, a halfling, a half-orc, and 6th. And you now see that the half-orc goes over and closes the doors to the outside fairly calmly. And the halfling then comes in and says, well met, everyone. I'm sorry that it's not under more auspicious circumstances, and I expect you want some explanation as to why we're here.
I see that.
What was everybody's names again, if you don't mind?
Flint.
Flint, thank you. I'm sorry, I probably should have started with myself. My name is Vigo Oakcloak.
Excellent name.
Erallur, as that name is said, you just have a flash of yourself sitting at a campfire in fairly barren surroundings with the whisper of his voice saying that name to you. This is my associate, Brenner, and the half-orc nods. The rest of you?
I'm Juniper.
Juniper, lovely, nice to meet you.
Well, you at least know our surnames. We're the Skipstone sisters.
Yeah, which one's which?
Well, that one's Shithead, and I'm Elsie.
I'm Maud Doomsky.
If I look at the halfling, if you call her that, I will stab you.
Roll an intimidation check.
Michael, can you just remind me, did we see what happened to our guards in our room?
Yes, they were assaulted.
And then
One of them
dragged
still,
away?
one of them near the doorway, propped up against a shelf,
Yeah.
but unconscious. The other one was presumably dragged away.
I'm very glad my friend was not here.
No, he wasn't at this time. I thought about it, but I thought that'd be too cruel.
A 17.
Okay, not going to call her that. That's fine.
My name's Erallur,
Erallur, nice to meet you.
and this is Saluk.
And you can see that the feathers on Saluk's neck have bulged slightly in a quite threatening manner. Not comfortable with this. So, An explanation. Right. Well, you will have no doubt realized that we're the two people who were working with the vampire on Mr. Manchun's behalf. But I realize that you mistrust him, and well, you should. He's not a trustworthy individual. But you seem to be in a little bit of a situation, and we may have information that might be useful to you.
Have you released him as well?
No, but he doesn't necessarily need releasing.
Why are you bringing us information? You work for him.
Yeah, he likes to have particular people on side, and you've interfered in his affairs before, so he sees this as a way of redressing that fact. He's not asking you to do anything terribly untoward, except slip from your guards here. And to be fair, you didn't harm any guards, so, morality is a little bit screwy in this situation. And he realizes that perhaps the sword is more dangerous than it's worth. So he suggests that we go with you, use the information that he has, and find this Farrellin person, bring her to justice, bring the sword to a more appropriate person, and then whatever slight you may have committed, Manchun will forget. Seem fair?
Or we could just go by ourselves, get the sword by ourselves,
I mean,
take it to who we want to take it to.
I mean, you could, but you wouldn't have got out of this situation without us.
We didn't try.
That's true. That's true. And kind of stupid. But, I feel like Mr. Manchun might try and bring his full fury down on you should you not take us up on this offer.
You forget that I'm familiar with the Zentrim and the Black Network, and it's not that all doom and gloom and scary and whatnot.
You've had skirmishes with us, Ms. Skipstone. I assure you, were you to meet any of Manchun's lieutenants, they would take you down in an instant.
Oh, would I be quaking in my boots?
You should be.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Girlface over here that I think we should go on our own.
Okay. That's not what I was hoping for. I understand. Perhaps if I said that we won't give you the information if you go on your own?
But if you have the information, why do you need us to go with you?
Well, Brenner and I are very capable, but all of you failed to get the sword from this woman in the first place. And so you could go again, or we could go again, or we could compete again.
Or Manchun could do his own work.
Yeah, he's not much for that anymore. He has higher concerns.
Mm-hmm. Higher concerns than a sword that takes away people's souls.
Yeah.
You mentioned information. What kind of information? As a ballpark.
Well, Manchun believes that he may know where she might have headed.
And why would he know that?
Because he can locate the sword.
Wait, so it's his sword that he lost, yet he can locate it? How does that make any sense?
He doesn't make a lot of sense. I think he has to be close to the sword and not injured or something. Look, I don't know. He's a mysterious guy. He doesn't give me all the facts. I'm giving you what I have.
I smelled the sword.
You did. He said you smelled the sword, but he was in the room and I'm confused. I don't really understand magic. I don't understand how it works. He's a very intimidating man. I just accept what he says.
So you're offering to tell us where the sword is?
Rather
Manchun is.
I'm offering to take you there and relieve Farrellin of the sword once we're there.
Do you know why this Farrellin has been interfering with your operations?
We're not really sure. She's been a thorn in my particular side a couple of times. I don't really know why she took a particular dislike to my domain, but it seems like the sword is some kind of endgame for her.
How long has she been interfering with your particular business?
8 months or so.
And she just popped out of nowhere?
More or less, yeah.
Well, I'm happy to go with whatever the group decision is.
So basically you don't want to make a decision at all, so you're leaving it up to the rest of us. Typical dwarf.
I mean, in a sense, yes.
Why is that I always play racist characters?
It's not racist. It's just.
He
It's
did
a
say
little
earlier.
speciesist.
He did say earlier that his true name was Karen.
Yeah, the innate.
Karen.
I mean, Erallur, personally, I am concerned if Staffy has gone missing into this sword. If it's done the same to you, I don't know what that could mean.
I feel like I'd know if that was the case, don't you think?
Potentially. Still a risk, though.
Wait, Staffy is who?
Our great friend. He's very powerful and strong, and he always stands up for us when people are mean.
But only when people hold him up.
And he's in the sword now.
Mm-hmm.
And Erallur, you're in the sword?
I
What?
don't think so. I think I'm here.
Oh, I hate magic so much.
That's not very offensive.
I
You're
didn't
not
say.
helping your cause here.
Okay, I didn't say I hated magicians. I said I hated magic
Mhm.
because
Just the thing that's at the core of my very being.
Okay, well, when you put it like that, it seems like I'm being unreasonable, and I don't appreciate that. But okay, I apologize.
Thank you.
So how quickly could you take us down?
Right now, if you agree.
And what happens to the fact that we've just broken out of Lord Neverember's very kind, generous, not quite prison?
Oh yeah, Lord Neverember is so kind, so generous. He's not the most corrupt person to ever happen to the city.
Well,
Get
he's
me
not
some
threatening to
bread.
kill us if we don't do a job for him.
He might if you did do a job for him. He's quite ruthless when he wants to be. But that's neither here nor there. Manchun is able to smooth over little diplomatic incidents like this, don't worry.
Mm-hmm. What does Saluk think when I look at Saluk?
Nice.
Saluk, the feathers have gone down. He's just twitching his head from side to side, looking at these new arrivals. He says, you say that Manchun can locate the sword, but he was unable to do so in the room upstairs. You'd want to tell us where we're going, or for how long, or how Manchun will smooth this over. We need more information before we make a decision.
I love Saluk.
Okay, I don't know how Manchun knows where she's gone. He just told me he knows. Maybe he knows something about her that we don't. Maybe he knows something about the sword that we don't. He knows an awful lot of stuff that I don't. If I asked him too much, I would lose my head, and then probably my family would lose theirs. I don't want that to happen, so I don't ask too many questions. I just do as I'm told.
So how does a jobbing, whatever you are, fall in with someone like Manchun?
Thief and assassin, thank you.
Well, how does a jobbing thief and assassin fall in with someone like Manchun, especially when their family is on the line?
Family, I mean, Brenner here. We go way back. I may have extended a little credit too far with Mr. Manchun and his associates, and now I am paying back said credit.
Sounds like a tricky position to be in.
Yeah, but I've mostly navigated it okay. I'm still alive. I still have all my fingers.
Saluk, you have probably more riding on this particular excursion than the rest of us.
You are right. I need the sword for later.
Would you prefer get it this way or the other way?
They are not trustworthy. We know this. Neither are the gnomes.
Agree.
But we know this. Much better to have a team of people you cannot trust and know you cannot trust than have a limited team.
Very interesting.
It will keep us on guard.
Mm.
It will keep us frosty.
Okay.
That is aristocracy.
Mm-hmm. Keep it frosty.
Yes.
I like
Keep
it.
frosty.
We live in the cold, so it keeps us aware.
Okay.
We should
Also-
say that to Simon as much as possible when he comes back, and he'll have no goddamn idea what we're talking
Yep.
about.
I'm not explaining it.
Frosty.
Keep it frosty.
I've written it down.
Very 80s, like incredibly 80s.
Keep it frosty.
I mean, he's basically a He-Man character. I feel like it's okay to be 80s about it.
I mean, I think that's very understandable. You could probably have a really great He-Man inspired role-playing game.
Yeah. You could definitely have a great She-Ra one.
I
It's in She-Ra.
I mean, there's one in
Yeah.
the Itch.io Racial Justice Bundle.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. I forget the name of it. I think it's got a heart in the title. But yeah.
I think another benefit is that we can go now and not wait for what I imagine is a very long political process.
That's a good point. Justice is quite the protracted thing these days.
Mhm.
And I don't like people, so we should leave.
What, so you're not coming
Just one more thing to bear in mind.
Yes.
So you are coming along?
No.
So you're
Maybe.
leaving?
Can we just leave now?
I think she wants to make the most of the fact that you just unlocked the door, but not actually go with you.
Oh, I get it. So she's probably going to betray us somehow. Maybe...
Have you seen my lame sister and her leg? I'm not going very far.
And then you see Brenna crack their knuckles, and there's a, no, you're not.
I just look up at him and just go,
Them.
them. I look up at them and just go, hey. So, are we leaving?
Hi. And there's a grin of these tusks. Yeah, we can leave now. Do we have an accord?
Just one more thing for the other three members of my party, but specifically Juniper and Erallur. Let's say we do run away. We are running away from an official body within a city that is recognised as part of the Lord's Alliance. I don't know how much sway that Lyrell Silverhand has, but we are essentially outlawing ourselves in Neverwinter, which isn't necessarily a problem, but I do worry
Oh, it
what
could be a problem.
well, yeah, I worry what the legal ramifications will be.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind
I
of
absolutely agree.
shake my head a bit as though I can't believe I'm saying this. But in terms of running the tavern, it might.
It will come down to whether we trust what this person says about Manchun being able to smooth things over. Is there any kind of guarantee you can offer us? Any proof?
Well, Manchun has been able to operate with impunity for quite a long time, particularly in Waterdeep, but his operations do stretch this far north. He and Lord Neverember, whilst not working directly together for official reasons, do benefit from each other's organizations, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And I doubt Lord Neverember would like a disruption, like vengeful Gentirim agents interfering with his affairs too much.
Am I able to see, because obviously I am aware of the Zentrum and their goings on, can I see if he's talking bullshit or not?
Roll an insight check.
18.
Weirdly, given your previous dealings with the Gentirim, seems quite honest and sincere. There's a degree of charm to him, and he knows it, but in this case seems quite earnest.
As hard as this may be to believe about the Zentrim,
it's Gentirim. It's a ZH. It's sort of like a weird G sound.
Just blame it on the salt. From my experience with them, unfortunately, I think this guy is actually telling the truth.
Okay. How do I know you're telling the truth?
I don't know. You'll just have to trust my pretty face.
Roll an insight check.
Really not. I feel like no. I will roll.
Roll a persuasion check, Elsie.
At advantage?
Natural 20.
No.
Oh. Persuasion.
So 24.
Wow.
13.
Elsie, from your dealings with her, she does not strike you as the most trustworthy of people. She tried to steal the sword. Her sister turned on you. She went along with it. You get the sense that actually she's trying to convey her real feelings, but there is just that nagging little feeling that she is not sincere and would probably stab you in the back the first chance she got.
But that she's telling the truth at this moment.
Yes.
Okay. I don't trust you, but I trust you in this immediate moment right now.
That seems healthy. So, and then Maud goes, I think we're all forgetting that I can't really walk.
Can you walk normally in the first place?
I am good. And then
Maybe we could drop you off at some kind of healing.
Well, we could just take you out back and put you down if you think you're not going to really be helpful.
I am not a horse.
No, you're too short to be a horse. Pony. And I just trot around.
You're the one with the weird teeth. Yeah, don't have anything to say, do you? And then Sixth goes, perhaps
I forgot he was here.
Yeah, he's barely spoken.
Yeah, I killed him.
I think Michael did too.
No, I didn't. I knew he was there. Perhaps I and young Maud here should stay behind as insurance. We won't leave the house. We'll just say that you were kidnapped and you may reappear or not. And it will seem perhaps unlikely, but we're both quite convincing individuals. And Maud is looking at him like, what are you talking about? But I imagine we can persuade them that something untoward happened. Manchun's agents were involved, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
And they chose to take you for some nefarious purpose.
Yeah, and they don't want the one with the broken leg. That makes sense.
Exactly. And they certainly don't want me. I am far too wily for them.
In an attractive way.
How can one be ugly in an attractive way?
Shall we leave? And I just walk out the door.
I have been so wounded today. Well, seems like we have an agreement then.
I'll
We should
glance around
probably...
and just double check that is actually what they want to do. Does everyone look? Yeah.
So Luke stands up, but you can see that he is gripping his staff ready should anything go wrong.
I'll just nod my head.
As I notice that no one has left the room, I walk backwards back into the room, walk over, and I'm going to try...
Stylish.
Yeah, I'm going to try and surreptitiously give her the glass bottle.
Okay, make a sleight of hand check.
21.
Okay. Is anyone's passive higher than that?
No.
I don't think so, no.
What is my passive? 14.
Elsie, you think you've got away with it, but then as you start to leave the room again, you see Sir Luke's head tilt. Doesn't do anything about it, but just...
He's a thief as well.
You don't know that. He's just got a very high passive.
I do. We tried to steal our mugs.
That's true. So
yeah.
shall we go?
Why not? I mean, I know many reasons why not. But yes.
Keep those reasons close. I understand the mistrust.
Interesting perspective. Then I walk past him.
Okay, so you set off. Vigo and Brenna rush to the head of this small column because they are ostensibly guiding the way. They take you through a couple of back passages across the estate. They seem to lead you through a couple of areas where you can, again, spot a few armoured boots that have been downed. You move towards the dock side of the city, and then they quickly take you to what looks like a sewer cover. And Brenna hoiks up the plate with one arm and just gestures with a finger. And Vigo slips into the hole and then calls up, "Come on, it's not far."
I turn to the others and go, "After you."
Did we... Sorry if I just completely glossed over this. Have we still got Maud and... They've
stayed at the house.
They stayed in that.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
That's fine. Did you say goodbye? I don't... No, okay. Yeah, I'll do a little sarcastic bow and then go on past Elsie.
Okay. Flint, Juniper?
I'm just going to wait until everyone's gone past, and then when it's just me and Elsie, I'll just say, "Look, from one seafarer to another, don't try anything funny."
I don't know what you're talking about. And just...
Sir Luke's head pops up from the hole and then just goes, "She's lying," and then pops back down.
And I go, "I don't know what you're talking about," and flamboyantly just slide into the hole.
Okay.
Can you show us how you would do that, Adam?
If you imagine a death drop, but with a slide.
Okay.
I will just make a note of this and go down into the tunnels with.
Okay, so you go down into the tunnels. Brenna then comes down after you, bringing up the rear. Strangely, these tunnels are not sewers. There is no distinct smell that you have sensed before. They are earthen. They are well supported by strong wooden braces. You get the sense that you are in the thieves' tunnels beneath Neverwinter. And from what you can discern, they are extensive and they go quite a long way under the city. You snake through and you can see that there are a few intersections with torches that lead in a few different directions. You meet no one along the way. Eventually, you come to quite a wide open cavern that has various passageways running across it, around it, that are going to different tunnels, each with torches just placed outside on either side of these openings. Vigo looks up and down, counts a certain number, and then points to one that seems to be a couple of levels down, and then seems to turn round and then start clambering down the side of the cliff. And it's for a moment that you think, is he actually climbing the rock, before you realise that there is a ladder and there's the soft eep, eep of rope as it just swings slightly as he goes down. Do you follow?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure, why not? Just
Okay.
like, wow.
Elsie and Flint, you are very aware that Brenner is very much keeping up the rear and is not moving from that position. It seems now that you're in the tunnels that you are very much not being allowed to move out of the line that you are in.
Okay.
You go down a few levels, you go to the tunnel that you saw Vigo count off, and then as you're walking, Erallur, are you at the front, do you
I
think?
think so, because
Yeah.
I went down the tunnel first.
Yeah. So
After Vigo.
Vigo, you can see that he's flicking something akin to a coin across his fingers, and it is very dexterous in the way that he moves it. It's from finger to finger to finger and then back up again, as if falling downstairs and back up them. Similar almost to a slinky, if you knew that what that was. But
Fantasy slinky.
yeah.
It's just wooden.
And then he seems to consider for a moment and then says, you wouldn't know what these symbols mean, would you? And flicks the coin towards you. Can you make a dexterity check?
Try and catch it. The kind of situation where I don't mind failing. Okay. Oop, 11.
Okay, so there's a moment where it flicks and it hits the cuirass and there's a soft ding, and then you just manage to catch it. It's not the most graceful, but you manage to catch it before it hits the ground. And you look at it, and it's quite a large coin, about 2 hands together in size. And it doesn't look like any currency that you've ever seen. It's almost as if it's not actually a coin, it's maybe just a disc. But there are some symbols on it, which seems to be the front half of a dog's body with a vicious snarl on its face that then midway through the torso slips into a crescent moon that almost goes round the outside of the coin and meets up with the front legs.
When I take it, I say, are you just asking me because I'm a magic person?
No, I just wanted to maybe
Do I recognise it at all?
roll a history check.
Oh, natural 2, which makes it a 6.
You do not recognise this symbol at all. But you do realise that when he was flicking it between his fingers, it was not as large. Because if it were as large, he wouldn't have been able to flick it
Yeah, I
through
was
his
thinking
fingers.
that. Okay.
It's like it grew when he flicked it to you.
I'll just shrug and say, nope, nothing, and chuck it back again.
Great. So the reason I ask is this was found on the body of that Vermil fellow.
Mhm.
And when I say on the body, I mean in it.
Like he ate it.
No, it was kind of in his rib cage.
Oh,
You know, the one that your friend blasted open.
I don't know.
Aye.
I didn't see any.
Hi. Nice work there. I'd love to get a look at that cannon of yours sometime.
Oh, dream on.
Worth a shot.
Is it when he took
And he
the
just
coin
points
back?
at you, Flint, as if he's made a very good joke.
When he took the coin back, did it get smaller again?
It didn't initially, but then he seemed to push something on it that made it smaller again.
Oh. It looks like maybe, is that thing mechanical? Maybe Flint could have a look.
It's worth a try. Do you mind, Flint?
I just hold out my hand and beckon it over.
Throws it similar to a discus throw to you. Make a
Um,
dexterity check.
Oh, that's 9.
Okay. Unfortunately, it chinks you in the shoulder, and there's a brief moment where you feel like it might actually fly into your neck, and you just catch it awkwardly before it does. And you just see the briefest smirk go across Vigo's face.
Okay, so anything about it, either magical or technical, that I can
Roll an
discern?
investigation check.
Ooh, that's okay. So 23.
You quickly find the mechanism that he pushed in order to make it shrink. But there's no grinding noise or any mechanic that seems to make it change shape. If you had to, you would say that it's likely magical what it's doing. What effect it had within the man, you're not sure. You're not familiar with a device like this. You've never come across anything like it. But it is definitely a mesh of mechanical and magical, to a degree that you feel like maybe you could retro-engineer it if you knew what its purpose was, but you don't.
Okay. Well, I can't tell you what it does, but it's definitely artificial in nature. It's been crafted.
Well, that didn't grow on a tree, did it?
No, but someone definitely made it. Didn't conjure it into being. There's something magical about it. I can't ascertain exactly what, unfortunately.
So, is it of this realm?
Would I know that?
Roll an Arcana check.
Ooh. 20 not natural.
It's not a metal that you're familiar with, and it's not a magic that you're familiar with, so it's unlikely.
Can I use Identify on it
Yeah,
if I
you
spend
can.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll just focus on it for solid 10 minutes.
Okay, so you're paused in this little corridor for a while, and Flint stops talking, and Vigo's looking at him, almost trying to catch his eye as he's focusing on this thing. He goes, right, magic. And then just sits down by the wall because he knows that in order to focus, Flint won't be able to walk. It's not like we're in a rush or anything. It's not like she could be anywhere by now. Great.
Hey Vigo, your name. What was
Yeah?
it again?
You just said it, Vigo.
Your whole name.
Oak cloak.
Thank you, Elsie. Oak Cloak.
Hmm.
Of the Baldorian Oak Cloaks.
Oh, okay. So there's lots of people with that name.
I was going to say it's very similar to Black Cloak.
Oh, I'm not mixed up in any of that business.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a Harfling clan. They run in Baldur's Gate. I've never actually been there. It was my mother and father that were part of the clan. Obviously, the Oak Cloak name comes from my mother. But yeah, it's not really home for me, but it's something I say, you know?
Mm-hmm. So it's a common name.
I don't know these days. If you've not heard of them, then maybe they're not there anymore.
Oh, I just thought maybe I had, so that's all.
Okay, so you've heard of it, but you don't know why.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah, that's, something rings a bell. Fantasy ringing a bell. Rings a fantasy bell.
You're saying words I don't understand. I understand the individual words. The order is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Is Truffle about?
Depends, Flint. Is Truffle flitting about?
Truffle's around. I'd say being in the tunnels, he's probably on my shoulder.
Yeah.
While Flint's doing his investigation thing, can I just surreptitiously get a bit closer? Just to look at Truffle without raising any suspicion.
Make a stealth check with advantage.
Playing a rogue really suits you, Adam. Take that how you will.
19.
Yeah, you seem to have snuck up fairly handily. Flint seems fairly focused. Ed, what is Truffle's perception bonus?
I don't think it's much. La 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 la.
La, la.
Why are you not responding? Respond, Adobe. Respond.
I thought you were going to say respond.
Perception +4.
Would you like to roll a perception check, or are you happy for me to?
No, I'm happy for you to.
Okay. That's massively cocked. Okay. Yeah, Truffle doesn't seem to notice as you sidle up behind Flint. You can see a fairly intricately made small metal hummingbird with a soft orange glow coming from behind its eyes.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, briefly through battles, we'll have seen that obviously Flint's thunder cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming I can take the assumption that they are both made by the same person.
Yes, there are signature marks that seem to elicit the same workmanship in both.
Okay. I just get out my fire starter, look at it and go, and just carry on.
Okay. As you turn back, you see that Saluk again has his eyes focused on you and his head slightly cocked.
Does that mean because he's a bird, he's got to be from the side?
No. His eyes are dead straight ahead, like most humanoids, of him having 360 vision.
Looking at you head on is just side eye.
Yeah. Okay, so Flint, you take the full 10 minutes as your companions rest, and you are unaware of Elsie's interest in Truffle.
Mm-hmm.
You are not familiar with what magic created this. You're not familiar with the metal. But once you identify it, the name kind of comes to you. It's a little bit strange and ethereal, but you get the sense that it is able to shift somebody's form to a degree.
Okay.
were they to have it within themselves. And eventually, as you finish the spell, the name comes to you and you can translate it through the identify spell into shift disk.
A shift disk. Shift disk. Let me just make a note of that.
You also get the sense that when it is small, it means that the person is not shifted. When it is large, it means that they are.
Between Oak Cloak and Shift Disk, this is not one for tongue twisters.
I know. Try
Shift
saying
Disk,
both.
Oak Cloak, Shift Disk, Oak Cloak. Wow. Right. So this appears to be some kind of shifting device. A shift disk, if you will. And I won't be saying that more than I need to. But
I don't blame you.
But it seems to contract when someone is not shifted and get larger when one is.
When you say shifted, what do you mean?
Well, change form. I'm assuming, looking at it.
Like
I
a
mean,
werewolf?
Like lycanthropy, I suppose, but artificially provoked.
Is that, well, I was about to ask if that's possible, but obviously it is, but is it from Faerun?
Well, as far as I can ascertain, nothing. I don't recognise the metal, at least. That said, I've not had that much experience with other planes, so I wouldn't know. But whatever it is, I don't recognise it, and metals are my thing. So the fact that I don't should be of note.
Okay, that's interesting and concerning. So, did this person shift
They seem to be. Aye.
into what?
It was just like a slightly more wolfy humanoid, right?
Yeah, lengthened fingernails, larger teeth, hairier, slightly forward-facing muzzle.
I relay all of that in that case.
Okay, that's a whole new nightmare that I didn't think I needed today. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Right, so now that we've sort of solved this mystery, let's carry. Does anyone mind if I smoke down here?
I mean, it's kind of a small tunnel, but if you have to.
Do you have any going spare?
I've got a spare pipe if you want it.
Yeah, I'll take that.
So in the tiny tunnel, we now have 2 people.
Yeah.
Double the smoke.
Okay,
It
so
does come
yeah,
from a very smoky room, but fine. It's been 2 days.
so hands you a slightly rougher looking pipe than the one that he's got otherwise, and pads down some herb in there. It's not tobacco, but it smells quite sweet as soon as he lights it for you, and it's quite pleasant.
Thank you very much.
As the smoke drifts over the rest of you, it's not the worst thing you've ever smelled, and it's not actually as virulent as to make any of you cough. So you continue on down the tunnel. Vigo continues to play with the disc now that you've given it back, but doesn't flick it as much and certainly doesn't change its size. Just seems to be doing it to hold something and to keep it in his eye line almost, in the worry that if it disappears, then maybe somebody will find a way to shift or something. You continue on through the tunnels for quite a long time. You're not even sure you're underneath Neverwinter anymore. It's that long. And you catch various scents as you go, particularly you, Juniper, that include brine, that includes quite a strong smell of fish.
Yeah.
There's also loamy earth, again, similar to but different from the smell of vermil.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually there's the smell of grass after a heavy rain, the freshness that comes from a thunderstorm having just hit. And Vigo goes, right, I think we're here.
Where is here?
And he gestures to the left where there is a very, very dark tunnel. And as he goes down it, you see that torches along the walls light up every few steps that he takes to eventually reveal a very large door. And when I say very large, I mean 20 feet high and 10 feet wide. And the tunnel opens up at the very end to allow this as you follow in. And you can see that carved into the door that is otherwise blank and is made of another metal, Flint, that you are unfamiliar with. There is an ornate, slightly stylized S running from one side of the door into the parting and then across the other, as if there's one half on either side. Almost like a slightly squashed infinity symbol missing 2 parts of itself.
Are we still underneath Neverwinter?
You are not sure. You've travelled quite a long way.
Okay.
You could roll a nature check to see if you have kept track of direction,
Yeah.
if you wanted to.
Yeah. Ooh, 22.
You're pretty sure that if you're not under Neverwinter, you're still fairly close.
Okay.
But you've probably gone a little bit further north, perhaps slightly closer to Luskan.
Okay.
Though those two cities are still fairly far away from each other.
Yeah. Does it look like it's trapped at all? Does it look like it's magical in nature, or?
Roll an investigation check.
21.
Okay. So as you go towards the door and you start looking it up and down, Vigo says, you just could...
I know what I'm doing.
Don't touch it. There's a specific thing. But you look it up and down. Doesn't appear to be trapped. You're not sure whether it's magical, but it's very likely.
Seeing Vigo's reaction to not touching the door, are there any stones on the floor?
There are, yes. There are a number of pebbles on the floor.
Can I pick up a handful of pebbles and throw them at the door?
Yeah, roll a dexterity check.
Dirty 20.
Okay, so you pick up a handful and you whip them towards the door. There is a brief moment of, oh shit, as Vigo dodges out of the way and they slam and then you see that the S symbol glows a virulent purple. What did you do that for?
Sorry. Say, Kathryn?
I just said, what did you do? At the same time.
So Luke, why did you do that?
I did nothing. Why are you trying to blame me for your foible?
I think it's fine. Where I come from, it means hope.
What, throwing stones at a door?
No, it's fine.
And then slowly the light fades out of the symbol. Could you not?
We're lucky that we didn't get an arrow in the face.
Do arrows usually come out of doors where you're from?
Yeah.
That's concerning.
Only if you're the person it's aimed at.
That's very true. There's a ritual to this kind of thing, Elsie, if you wouldn't mind. If you'd let me finish what I was saying to Flint.
It's like a naughty child.
And you see that Vigo then preps his hands and then seems to run through a sequence in his head and then goes, Erallur, you're taller than I am.
Which one do you want me to reach?
Well, so I'm going to hit a couple of panels and then I need you to hit one just underneath the S on the right-hand door. And then I need you to hit one after I've hit a few more under the S on the left-hand door, if that's okay.
That's fine. I never thought I would be spending so much time with people shorter than me. It's not a problem. Just never thought I'd be the tallest.
Just so long as it's not a problem.
Isn't Brenna much taller than me?
Yeah, but they're at the back and
Okay.
there's a lot of people in the way.
That's fine.
Plus, they don't really like doing what I tell them to do.
Fair enough.
Okay, so gets the hands out and touches. There's not really panels that you can see on the door. It's all smooth apart from the join down the middle. But as he goes to place his hand in a couple of places, you can see that they glow in a slightly softer purple than the one you saw before. And then touches the two panels and then nods at you.
So I'll...
Yeah. And just as you touch the panel, you just hear, just for you, there's a slight choral note.
Oh, that's...
And as you take your hand off, there's just the point where it slips into a scream.
Oh, that's not nice. Okay.
And then touches a few more panels and then nods at you again.
Yeah. Well, I'll be a bit more hesitant this time because I don't want to hear a scream.
As soon as you touch the panel, the scream continues. And it's
Are you
loud.
hearing a scream as well while you do this?
Yep, ignore it, it's fine. And then touches the last panel, and then there's a as the door starts to open, and you are met with a passage beyond that is wreathed in that same soft purple light. And Vigo says, don't look at the people who are going to be waiting for us in the eye. They don't like it.
We're meeting people?
I'd hope not to, but Miss Scatterstone over there has made sure that we are.
I didn't do anything. Just get on with it. I'm bored.
All right, but don't look him in the eye. And steps through into the purple light and disappears.
I'm next in line, so I'll go afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, I will also follow.
Juniper looks at the floor and just like shuffles forward with like,
Okay.
her face down.
So Luke extends his arm to you, Juniper,
Yeah.
and just offers his talon for your paw.
Oh, I take it to balance myself while still looking straight down
Yeah.
the floor.
Looks at you and then just goes, "Be brave, little one." And you walk through together. Elsie? It's just you and Brenna now.
I look at Brennan and go, well, isn't this romantic? And then just walk through.
Okay. You walk through and you'll find yourself suddenly on a large stone disc. There's no door behind you. There's purple light emanating, but it gradually dies down as the rest of you appear. You all appear in more or less the same instant, despite taking slightly longer to go through at different points. And as you look around the room, you can see that it is a fairly large circular chamber. The disc on which you stand has a hole in the middle that just seems to have a drop. You can't see how far it is, and it is immediately black. The walls run circular, apart from a point dead ahead of you that has a passageway running up the entirety of the wall. It's just open. And standing on either side of that passageway are a couple of beings, the like of which you have never seen before. They are humanoid-ish, but very tall, and they have grey skin, the colour of mottled stone. They have no discernible nose or nostrils, just a fairly wide, flat mouth, and quite small, white eyes. Adorning their heads, and seemingly attached to the skin, are plates, not unlike some lizards and dragons that you've seen, but they run either side where ears would be, and then there is a third plate that arcs over their head, crowning them. They wear long purple-grey robes and are staring at you quite intently with very neutral expressions on their faces.
Who am I stood next to?
You are stood next to Brenna.
I look to Brenner again in a hushed voice. I go, well, this is a bit of a mood killer, isn't it?
They say nothing.
I'm gonna look
And then,
around.
yeah, look at the others and actually for once do what I'm told.
Oh, Kathryn, what did you say you were doing?
I just thought I'm looking at the ground.
Okay,
Same. I am looking straight, still looking straight down.
okay.
Being a
So,
good girl.
yeah. So Vigo, similarly, looking fairly close, waits for a moment, then nods and steps down from the dais that you're standing on. And as the purple light dies, you can now see that there are various symbols, most of which have that stylized S within them somewhere, and steps down. And then just from the periphery that you can see, you see these two individuals lift their arms and gesture down the passageway without making any noise, no rustle from their robes, no breath seems to come from them. And then Vigo starts to walk down the passageway and makes.
Can I just make sure that Flint is not gonna be abrasive, and make sure that he's not looking at them in the eye
I mean,
doing his usual about to confront someone?
Roll an
Basically, I'm
insight
thinking
check.
about when we went to see that woman who took the refugees from Fort Argent,
Yeah,
and we were told not to look at her, and he was like,
yeah.
I'm
Roll an
trying to look
insight
for
check.
signs of that.
Okay.
Probably not very well, though. 13.
Okay, Flint, how are you feeling, and how much do you communicate that in your body language to Erallur?
I mean, I was about to say I'd like to see if I can line up with Vigo, so I can
Okay.
just ask him a question, keeping my eyes dead ahead.
Okay, so Erallur, Flint not necessarily shunts you out of the lead, but does step ahead of you to try and catch up with Vigo. Seems like he's keeping his eyes down.
Being a good boy.
So yeah, I catch up with Vigo and just ask, so where are we? Who are these people?
I'll explain in a moment. Just let's keep it quiet until we're out of the room. If they're letting us past, we're in luck. Let's not question it too hard.
Okay.
So walks through, and you come to a corridor that seems to split off in various different directions. From what you can see, it leads to a couple more chambers, quite similar to the one that you were already in, but no guards or any of these beings stand in those chambers, and there's no purple light. It looks like they're inactive at the moment. As you're led by Vigo down this one corridor that these three branch off, you come into a larger room that seems almost like a temple in its bearing and size. There are pillars, but they're all fairly square and clear cut, as opposed to the round room that you were in before. As you walk across this marbled floor, you can see that, again, that symbol appears of the circle with a hole in the middle. But this one, the hole is just painted black. It's not actually a hole. It's stylized and it's supposed to represent something similar. Vigo walks you out in silence, and there is a very close silence to this place. It's almost as if the lack of noise is like humidity pressing in upon you. Flint, Erallur, and Juniper, actually, you get the sense that something about this is magical in some way. There is something pushing this ambience upon this particular building. As Vigo comes and steps out into what looks ostensibly like a street to you from what you can see, and you've all kept your eyes relatively low just in case you see any of these other strange beings anywhere, and he just turns back and gives you something of a winning smile, Flint, and says, "Brace yourselves, things are about to get a little weird," and steps to the side and then gestures for you to step into the street.
And this is all still underground, yeah?
You're not sure.
Okay. I look at the others.
So it already was weird, but seems like we can't go any other way. And I'll...
Okay, so you walk past Flint and go out.
Mhm.
As soon as you go out, you are met with a wall of noise. It's hustle, it's bustle, it's hawkers shouting about their wares, it's the noise of horses moving around, and creatures that you don't recognize, including some that are reptilian in nature and seem to have quite large claws jutting from their feet as they move across with riders on their back running through the various open spaces of the streets. There are a few more of those individuals that you saw guarding the plinth that you came off, just drifting slowly around about an inch from the ground as they hover. Everybody does not look at them. As you look around slightly more at an assortment of buildings that all have a very strange mix of architectural styles, even within single buildings themselves, and you see tieflings, half-orcs, full-blood orcs, ogres, trolls, people with eyes as white as yours, people with eyes that are purple, blue, green, dwarves, halflings, gnomes, deep gnomes, drow, elves, tabaxi, just every race you've ever imagined, seen, and even a few that you do not recognize in any way. You then look up and you see that there are also buildings that jut down towards you from streets that run along the ceiling and fold in on each other to somehow then reach the ground as they curve around this very strange place that you found yourself in. And as you glance down the street, from what you can see, it leads in a long arc away from you into a bit of haze as the dirt of the road is kicked up by wheels of carts and hoofbeats and poor steps. But it certainly seems like you're in a contained, almost ring of a city. And as you all step out to accompany Erallur and are met by this overwhelming sight, Vigo smiles again and says, "Welcome to Sigil." And that's where we're going to end tonight's session. Also, welcome to level 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Level 12. I like to think Juniper is still looking at the ground and didn't notice any of that.
I will allow that character choice.
Nice,
How do you
thank you.
spell sigil? Is it
It is spelled
S-I-G-I-L?
like, yes, it is spelled like sigil, but it is pronounced sigil. So it is S-I-G-I-L.
Oh,
Yeah, I've seen people say sigil instead of sigil, and I'm
Yeah.
always like, no, why?
Well, no, I think in some cases it's because people read it rather than heard it pronounced. But I think I'm right in saying that the D&D city sigil is pronounced sigil.
Yeah, I used to
I've always
think it
thought it
was
was that.
sigil, and then I was corrected a number of different times by different sources. But yeah, sigil, baby.
Yeah.
Has it been referenced at all? in
It
this?
has a very long time ago. I'm not sure Erallur came across the reference, though. It was referenced in a story that Charlotte's Seraphine heard
Right.
from an ancient elf in a tavern a long time ago. But I don't think she communicated it to you.
Okay, I just couldn't remember if I knew about it from hearing it in this.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Mm.
So, thank you very much for playing. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening. Like, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. And we will be with you next time. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Everybody who wants to say bye, say bye.
Bye bye bye.
Ta-ta.